closely at this image. Officially, NASA will tell you that the Artemis II mission, scheduled for April 2026, is a simple test flight, a wonderful technological stepping stone to bring humanity back to the moon. But that is a lie. The real reason 4 astronauts are preparing to risk their lives in deep space has absolutely nothing to do with science or exploration. This is a classified reconnaissance mission and a direct violation of an absolute silence that has lasted for over 50 years. Since 1972, we've been told over and over that we never returned to the moon simply because of a lack of budget, that the technology was just too expensive. But when you analyze the archives of the Apollo 17 mission, the last time a human walked on this world of dust, you do not see a space agency that accomplished its goal. You see a crew that is running away. Today, we are going to tear away the veil of illusions. We are going to examine the true trajectory of the Artemis II Orion capsule. And you are going to discover the terrifying reason why we haven't returned to the moon in half a century, and why going back now might be the greatest mistake in human history. I'm going to pause this dark revelation for just 1 second. If you prefer the brutal, terrifying reality of our universe over comforting illusions, hit the subscribe button right now. We are building the darkest space community on YouTube. Now, let's face the dark side. December 1972. The Apollo 17 astronauts leave the lunar surface. Officially, it is a highly successful mission, but the events that followed tell a completely different story. The original audio recordings of the mission, much of which remains highly classified, reveal moments of hushed panic, cryptic exchanges between the crew and Houston. They spoke of domes, of massive shadows moving unnaturally along the ridges of the dark craters. Astronauts famously described an eerie, unshakable feeling of being watched. The raw transcripts, heavily redacted before their public release, contain frantic whispers about strange tracks in the regolith. Tracks that did not belong to their lunar rover. They found pulverized rock formations that defied all known geological processes. They were perfectly symmetrical and terrifyingly deliberate. They realized, in that freezing vacuum, that they were standing in someone else's territory. Right after that, NASA suddenly and inexplicably canceled the Apollo 18, 19, and 20 missions. They had already built the rockets. They had the astronauts trained and ready to go. The budget was already spent. They didn't stop because of a lack of money. They stopped because they received a warning. For half a century, we respected this invisible quarantine. The moon was left abandoned, a forbidden territory. But today, our next-generation telescopes, coupled with ultra-powerful artificial intelligence, have scanned the far side and the lunar South Pole. The AI didn't just find dead rock, it detected anomalies, impossible geometric structures buried under the dust, emitting a very faint energy signature that should not exist in the absolute cold of the vacuum. Something, or someone, is using our moon as a silent observation base. But this isn't just passive, abandoned architecture. The corrupted data stream suggests these structures are dormant, waiting. Some rogue analysts within the space agency whispered about thermal imaging showing a rhythmic thermal pulse deep beneath the lunar crust. It pulses exactly like a slow, mechanical heartbeat, echoing through the dead rock. It is a terrifying realization that our moon might not be a lifeless satellite at all, but a synthetic outpost. And that is the true purpose of the Artemis II mission. NASA packaged this mission in a brilliant marketing pitch for the general public. But in reality, these 4 astronauts are being sent to verify what the AI found. They are scouts, or worse, they are bait. In April 2026, the Orion capsule will be propelled into a free return trajectory. This means that once launched into deep space, there are absolutely no brakes. No possible return until they have completely circled the celestial body. The true nightmare will begin when they cross the shadow line. For 40 long minutes, the Orion capsule will pass directly behind the far side of the moon. The colossal mass of lunar rock will instantly and completely block all communication with Earth. No radio signal, no telemetry, no control screens to help them from Houston. Just 4 humans, locked in a small titanium box, floating in absolute darkness, hundreds of thousands of miles away from any possible help. The Orion spacecraft is a multi-billion-dollar piece of state-of-the-art technology. Yet in the face of the unknown, it is nothing more than a fragile tin can. The temperature outside the hull will plunge to hundreds of degrees below zero. Inside, the 4 isolated crew members will hear nothing but their own rapid breathing and the mechanical hum of life support systems struggling against the void. Every single shadow inside the cabin will feel like a threat. Every random crackle on the dead radio will sound like a whisper from the abyss. Imagine the crushing silence inside that capsule. The Earth is no longer visible. The sun is hidden. They are flying exactly over the dark region where the AI detected the anomalies. The exclusion zone we have avoided for 50 years. And it is there in the dark that the illusion of our safety will collapse. What will happen if they look through the small glass window and realize that the far side of the moon is not empty? What will happen if the Orion capsule's electrical systems begin to suffer inexplicable interference, draining the ship's vital energy as they fly over these ancient structures? The 1972 pact will be officially broken. We will have knocked on a door that should have remained closed forever. If the Orion capsule's main engine refuses to ignite for the return maneuver, NASA will tell the world that it was a tragic technical failure. A faulty valve, human error. But in the freezing cold of deep space, as the oxygen slowly runs out, the 4 astronauts will know the terrifying truth. They didn't have an accident. They were stopped. They will drift eternally in the black void, becoming a macabre floating warning to remind future generations to never, ever return. The universe is incredibly vast, dark, and full of silent predators. And we have only just decided to shine a flashlight into the dark forest. If you want to discover what other terrors are hiding just beyond our atmosphere, click the video on your screen right now. The cosmic nightmare has only just begun.